Anthony, you leaving this in hallway? How long give their time hacks?
Sorry, what?
I gotta give them the time hacks for the 1 minute.
Okay.
I forgot to make my 1 minute sign, so I apologize.
All right, folks, if you take your seats, we're going to start with the public comments, please. Please take your seats.
Yeah, you bet. Anytime, Dan.
Okay, thanks very much. Before we actually get started, just a couple of comments. We released the principal developer folks. We were just running a little bit too late to keep them around for questions. So for the board members, if you have questions for the principal developers following the briefing they gave earlier this afternoon, please document those, give them to the DFO, and then we'll discuss those on our first IPT conference call at the end of after this meeting. Second is rules of the road for public comment, DFO.
Good afternoon. Public comment session, each commenter will be allowed 5 minutes. This will be a one-way presentation. There won't be an exchange of questions and answers. I'm sorry, I forgot my time cards, but when I do raise my name tag, that's an indication to you all providing public comment. You have 1 minute remaining in your time. I ask you strictly adhere to the time frame. We have 11 or 12 with 5 minutes apiece, and that's going to be the hour. So I have you just stick to the time allotted. I greatly appreciate it. And again, I'll raise my hand with this name, and that means 1 minute remaining. This is a reminder also that your comments will be being recorded both audio and visually with the digital recorder for the purpose of our minute takers. I ask you to step up to the microphone, provide your comments. If you have your comments written, we'll take those and make those part of the minutes of the official record as well.
Okay, thanks very much. First up, we have Mr. Barnett. Barnett, let's go. And for all of you, if I get your name wrong, please, I don't mind being corrected. Just let me know. I don't want to butcher it twice. Mr. Plisco here. Okay, next up, Mr. Gene Symes.
Here. Yep.
Over here.
Over here, Gene.
Over here.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. My name is Gene Symes. I'm from New York. I'm the National Chairman for Operation Fine and Protect. That means that we fire with our voices, as you heard today. We try to make it as simple as possible. Sometimes we do get carried away that our emotions come out. But you know, as I said earlier today, I was out in the campus talking to a lot of homeless veterans. Some were scared to even get help because of what they hear and how they've been treated, how their personal items, when there was a sweat, was taken away. The whole life, even if it's a necklace or a small button that they so want to keep as a keepsake, disregarding that. And something happened, I guess, that happened with the VA, that they did the same thing. The VA had their belongings, and then they just threw it in the garbage. You know, that's a disgrace. Okay. And earlier today, this gentleman was talking up here about houses and dogs. Could they let them in? Well, you know what? If you get an okay by a doctor that dog is your buddy, is something that means a whole lot to you, that dog can be with you. Okay? There's nothing wrong. If we can have dogs go on a property here on the campus and defecate all over the place, an area that's supposed to be gifted for veterans to appreciate, walk, and just relax, they have to go through this garbage. Well, that no longer should happen. That's why I'm talking today. The homeless veterans are looked at as individuals that really doesn't matter. They are veterans, as I said earlier. All of them are veterans. They're all sacrificed. And we need to take this land back and do exactly what's supposed to be. You want to develop. The public doesn't care what happens. Okay? I don't know if there's something going on with this purple line. I don't understand what this means. Does this mean it's going to be circus? Does this mean it's going to be an Olympics or something that's going on that's going to take more land? Is this going to be a place where they're going to have a racetrack? But you're telling us things that you say you believe in us, but you still take away. That church, the chapel, that can be used to bring back the thoughts and minds of these homeless veterans and utilize it to do what it's supposed to do. You know, everything you have here is good. Maybe you have to tear a building down and repair it, but you know what? Make it for the veterans. Don't make it so a veteran has to live with a non-veteran, because this is not what it was for. Let Brentwood, let Los Angeles, let San Francisco, let San Diego take care of their people, just like we take care of ours. That's why we're here. That's why I speak to you. And I like a lot of you guys, believe it or not. I'm not the stiff person that thinks that you should all go to somewhere else and get a job, you know. I'm not the person that said if I was President of the United States or I was the Secretary of Ed, I'd fire each one of you to get new people because you're not doing your job. You are doing your job. I appreciate it. And I'm not trying to butter up to you, so don't even think of that. I'm just telling you the truth. I got a deep heart for each and every one of you. I don't hate, but I need your help. I need to be in Washington. I need to be in front of the Secretary of Veterans Affairs with our coalition. And if there's any way possible, we have to do it soon, because I'm traveling to Washington in the next 3 months. And if I have to bare ass my butt out there completely naked till I get my attention with the President of the United States, that we can take and tell him what's going on here. Because I don't think the presidents get the whole message what's happening. He's too busy. He's got a lot of things on his back. Okay? And I think there's a lot of stuff that the Secretary's just not telling him. Because if he can take 27 acres of land after he said he wouldn't, well, somebody's not saying something. I appreciate it very much, and thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Symes.
You're welcome.
Next up is Mr. Anthony Wayne Ford.
It's amazing. I've been sitting here since 8 this morning. All I've been hearing is about this new bridge housing. I've been here since 8 o'clock this morning. All I've been hearing is about this new bridge housing, which to me is another form of incarceration legalized, which is not acceptable for me. I wouldn't live in it. My name is Anthony Ford. I work for the Salvation Army Transitional Housing down the street. I'm a service tech maintenance engineer. I've been homeless since October the 2nd of last year. Little did I know the transition that I had to go through to try to receive housing from the VA. I've been through numerous programs, the VA, and everywhere else trying to get it. But they based everything on your AMI score, your annually monthly income, which they says it should be 33.4, mine is 33.9. So I'm 5% over the limit concerning my AMI score for housing. And I went to numerous people I talked to, and I kept turning around. Plus, I didn't have street credit. I didn't have enough time served on the street. I've been homeless for only about a month, 3 months, and I'm working. But they said I had to be on the streets for a year. So here it is 15 months later, December the 16th of last year, I got a voucher. My voucher is for $1,800. I got it on the 16th. I found a place on the 20th. But what it entails is the fact that they give me a voucher for $1,800, but they want me to pay $1,100 for the rent, and they're only gonna pay the $700. And so once I get into the place, then added on to that is my electrical and all my other amenities that I'm gonna have to use on that money, which is gonna put me at $950. I won't be able to survive, which it should be the opposite of this. So my question to everyone, because when you talk about the shared housing, because I stay on Safe Keep Parking, I've been here for about 8-9 months now. And it's a lot up the street on Santello and Ohio Street. And the reason why I stay there, because I refuse to go into a shelter. I did it, I tried it with the US Vets. When I went in with the US Vets, what happened was, at that time, I was working 3 to 11. I was notified, I told my case managers that I had a job, I was working, I was considered a veteran in progress, VIP veteran. So, as I was talking to my case manager, and I said, well, I get in at 12:30, what they expected me to do when I came in, to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, put a shirt and tie on, and then go sit into one of these group meetings about employment, drug and alcohol, what have you. I couldn't do it. So when I came home at night, what they done was flip my bed. Flipping your bed means that when you came home to go to sleep, your mattress got pulled, your linen got pulled, only thing that was left there was a box spring. So I reported it. So then I was classified as an inside snitch. So once I became an inside snitch, I had to leave because I was threatened. There was rumors going around that something was gonna happen. So I got into my vehicle, and this is where I preside right now at the Safe Keep Parking. And so we gotta look at, stop putting a Band-Aid on a wound because it's not working. And yes, the bridge housing and all that, that sounds great. It's a fantastic idea. But once they change hands and change the property over, it's gonna wind up just like all the other places that your case managers are poorly trained, they don't listen, they tell you, you can't ask them, and if you have rules and regulations that you don't abide by, then you're out. And this bridge housing, from what I'm told, the tent city, that's just a disaster waiting to happen. Because it sounds good, it looks good, but I refuse to be in a quorum with people who have issues. Mine is because of separation. It's not related to anything else. And if I'm going to be put in a situation where I don't understand who I'm there with, then it puts me in a hazardous situation. Thank you very much for listening.
Secretary of Housing and U.S. Vets is going to bring you.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Next up, Mr. Alfred Arian.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask, can you say who's next so they can be over here at the ready?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak our piece as a veteran, disabled veteran. I just want to thank every one of you for being here and hearing all these fantastic things that you guys want to do to make this place a better place for our veterans. I hope this year is going to be the year to see change. I just wrote some odds and ends here, and I just want to let you know that it's important to work together. God only knows a lot of beautiful people here, man. I just want to thank all our veterans that are veterans. I want to welcome them home. I want to thank them for their service. And it just feels great to be here versus not being here. My hat says brothers forever, fallen but not forgotten. We will never forget the cost of freedom. In saying that, I'm just going to share some odds and ends. This draft master plan, more or less, they say between 4 and 7 years back in time, you know, the process is just going on and on and on. And before you know it, we got this massive construction work going on. I have some questions that I want to share within this 5 minutes, maybe less now. What was the beginning date of the draft master plan? I'm kind of naive on that. Not that it matters, but it does matter. The starting date. Do you have any contractors in mind by name that will be doing the construction work for the whole project? I know that there's one now. I don't know how many contractors applied 4 years ago. The RFP, was the date and year you all put up the RFP, and was their request for veteran contractors submitted? And how was the response? How many veterans submitted these RFPs? Was there veteran non-profit contractors coming here to submit for this RFP? What was the total of all contractors that filed for the RFP? You know, concern, was it a good turnout? Did we have a lot of veteran contractors come and submit these proposals for this big job? The construction done on the 388 acres of disabled land. How many housing units were built? I know you have a number, I don't have it, and I think, you know, we still have a lot more to go. Okay, and basically, how was the process hiring homeless or disabled veterans? Are veterans that are homeless, that are out there, are they finding work now that this construction work is going on? Do they have to attend a pre-apprenticeship program in order to get work? We need our veterans to get work so that they can afford to pay their rent or their percentage, and then maybe they're going to grow their wings and find a family and start a new life. That's what we're here for. Overseeing the hiring of our homeless, disabled veterans. Who is overseeing the hiring of our disabled veterans? You know, you may think that I'm kind of naive or whatever, but I think it's important.
You're awesome.
I just want to let you know that this is important for us to know these things, because I've never heard it in the past of how the process was. And it's still, in my mind, concerning to see if we are going to continue to get veterans to go to work in their backyards. Okay, we need the beginning dates of all programs. Okay, we'll bypass that. I think okay, we're going to bypass that. We, the people, as veterans and civilians, gather together with the VA, as well as the leaders that are overseeing the draft master plan. Robert Merchant, bless him, okay, and others. We would like to start the new year on the right track. We must make the wrongs right. Let's do that for our veterans. We need your help, working together, okay? I'm almost done. I know my time's almost done. The land was deeded to our disabled soldiers in 1888, over 800 acres of land. Years, I don't know how many years the VA in West LA has been overseeing the land. Somewhere around 1922, let's round it out to about 100 years. That's a long time. All the things that have been going on around that time, from land leases, a lot of organizations that were not generating money for our veterans, leased for decades, no money to show for it, no transitional housing. What progress what progress have we seen on that land in 100 years? Not much. Today is a new year, January the 15th, 2020. And we the people, as a new coalition that is on behalf of all veterans, men and women veterans, the nation, home for disabled veteran soldiers, we stand with you. We want to work with you. We need your help. We want to unite, and let's make that land over there the best land in the world. We can do it, one day at a time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arias. If you would give us a copy of your comments, that would be useful. Thank you. Okay, next up is Mr. Samuel Blackwell at the mic. On deck, Johnny Holiday.
Well, my name is Samuel Blackwell, and it's nice to be down here in LA. Got invited down here from a friend over here. Don't know why she did it. I don't know if it was a smart move or not. I am a minister, and I am a law enforcement officer, and been a building inspector in a building department in a jurisdiction to the north for 21 years. I'll be 62 years old this year. I'm neither here to condemn or red tag anything. Just a little humor, okay? Although with Ryan's red dot, I want to talk about Ryan's red dot because what it brought to my mind, when you see a red dot on your chest or your buddy's head, you're the target. Okay, so wherever this red dot is located, you're the target. One thing I'd like to say, one of the reasons Athena invited me here is because of the movie Hacksaw Ridge. Are y'all familiar with that movie that Mel Gibson made?
Yeah.
About the medic who wouldn't carry a gun in World War II on Okinawa. He was my dad's best friend. So they're both dead, and Desmond did not want the movie put out until he had died because he didn't want anything to do with Hollywood. And the backdrop to Hacksaw Ridge, it was an island. And before the Japanese entered the island, all the Okinawans, which weren't Japanese, got their families together and jumped over the cliff and committed suicide. Okay? Then the Japanese go into the tunnels, the rock tunnels, which are pretty much impenetrable. We pull up with all our battleships and destroyers at level 13 and 14-inch shells on the island, thinking that that's going to do anything. What happened is the next thing that happened is we sent a battalion up there. And they came out of the rock tunnels and slaughtered a whole battalion and left the wounded on the ground. The next thing we did is we shelled the island again. The Japanese are back in the rock tunnels. And our boys are laying on the ground. So who are we shelling? This went on for 5 different times, multiple times the same thing. So we were blowing our boys 5 times to millions, a gazillion pieces. It was the most gruesome battle in World War II on record. Desmond Doss had some high principles, which we all should have high principles. Sometimes we don't meet those goals, but we should still have them set high. So Desmond Doss believed in not killing. He refused to carry a gun. He almost got court-martialed. He got given the Congressional Medal of Honor, the Purple Heart, 5 Bronze Stars, and multiple other rewards without carrying a weapon. He saved over 700 men on 6 different islands without a weapon, including almost 100 enemy Japanese soldiers. Made sure they got saved. So these are the high principles I'm talking about. Now, the shells on the island are also a shell game. We want to make sure we're not playing the shell game with each other, because there is a higher power that is watching all this. It is all recorded, and if you don't have the mercy and grace poured out upon you as love toward your fellow man, you will be held accountable for each one. So let's not play the shell game like what happened on Okinawa. Let's try to save our enemies, and that's why I came here to say, I come not here to condemn or to red tag. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Blackwell. At the mic, we have Mr. Johnny Holliday, on deck is.
First of all,
Ross
I'd like
Brown.
to say that, what I have to say is for every veteran, what I have to say, and the problems I'm having, I'm sure they're having. First of all, I'd like to say that the land that was given to the veterans that Frank and his group are fighting for, it belongs to the veterans, and it shouldn't be used to make money for people who serve their service. I just want to let you know I was 17 years old when I went into the military. I am now 95 years young. I was a medic in the Normandy Beaches of Utah, and I'm very fortunate to be alive today. And what I have to say has to bear in reference to veterans assistance and the veterans pension. First of all, I'm sure that every veteran, a lot of them are in my same position. When I got the pension in 2002, I was single. When I got married, they notified me that if I and my wife made $25,500 a year, I lost my pension, which happened. I had to get a divorce to get my pension back 4 years ago, and I'm still not together with my wife. And then the other problem is the other gentleman was talking about money that he got that the government takes. When you get a pension, especially a medical disability pension, and I'm living in a hot building, and I'm sure that this is happening to other veterans, they take the money you're making, Social Security, Internal Revenue, and HUD are all government agencies. They don't, Social Security doesn't say it's income, and nobody says it, but HUD says it is. So therefore, the money I get, since the time I've been living in the building, they've taken over $5,000 of my money to pay the rent. They added on the rent because of the income. They say, well, it is income. Well, if everyone is saying it isn't, they say it is, why is it? If I'm getting a pension, if I worked for a company, I can understand them taking the money. It's a private organization. But if it's a military pension that you've used and served your country, why should you be punished? That goes for every one of the guys who are getting a pension, and it's happening to them, and I guarantee you, in the building I live in, there's only one other veteran, and he's getting the same problem. When you get the money, they think, oh, you're making a lot of money. By the time you get the pension, and you pay $532 rent, you pay for your GI insurance, bury you, or however you're going to do. All the other expenses you have for your car, your insurance, everything that you pay. When you wind up with $300 a month out of $1,800, you didn't get $1,800, and you can't live on $300 a month. So I think everybody should know that this is going on, and somebody's going to have to help somebody to do something about it, because I don't think it's fair. It just isn't fair that I got to get a divorce to get my pension back. And that's a fact. So I'm saying to you, and I know a lot of guys, and they must have the same problem. So all I can say is, if you're not aware of it, and I'm sure a lot of people are not aware of some of these things about the $25,500. On the medical disability pension, you got to be overseas to get it, and then they can take it away from you because of that kind of a situation. Doesn't make any sense to me. I wouldn't want it. I don't think anybody here would want it, and I think a lot of people don't even know about it because they don't tell you. They don't wave a flag and say, "Hey, this is what you're going to have to give up." So I just can't believe it. I'm fortunate enough, and then also just a little off ramp. Okay, Medi-Cal is now doing a little number on people too. If you reach a certain point, they say, well, now you're going to have to pay 20% of your medical expenses that are left after the doctor and the hospital, whatever it is, charge you. You got to pay that difference. Well, that could be thousands of dollars. That's not fair either. So fortunately, the VA was in the paperwork. They put me back on my program where I don't have to pay that 20%. But all I can tell you is if you're aware of the things I said, somebody should look into it. And Frank and his group are breaking their back to try to help people. And I'm sure that if you know it's wrong, the veterans deserve a little edge, I would think, for giving up some of their life, 3 years of my life as a young kid. And it took me back to do what I had to do to come back and start all over again. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Speaker,
Holliday.
I just 5 seconds. I have 30 copies of an autographed Hacksaw Ridge book that anybody is welcome to come to me and get. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Mr. Robert Rosebrock at the mic, and on deck is Ernesto Rafael Nieves.
Hello? Hello? Is it on?
It's
Okay.
on. It's gonna get close. Take it off if you want.
Is that up?
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, yeah. Thank you all for coming in from Washington DC. My name's Bob Rosebrock. I'm director of the Old Veterans Guard. It's an ad hoc team. We're not a nonprofit or anything, self-funding, been tough. Most of our members have passed on, World War II, Korean War veterans, but we made a promise to each other, and they're old enough that we're going to live to our mission, that is to save our veterans' land and bring our homeless veterans home. I started with this going on about 15 years ago, and we going on the 12 years of every Sunday out here at the corner with a peaceful protest that ended up, with an ACLU in a lawsuit because I got arrested for displaying the American flag. We won. The ACLU stepped in and then filed a major lawsuit, which was pointed out. We won that, and then they got behind closed doors and settled it. With the #1 promise that they would end veteran homelessness by the end of 2015. This is 2020, we're still the capital for homeless veterans. It's unnecessary, uncalled for. That settlement agreement also had an exit strategy for all the illegal real estate deals on. There are more illegal real estate deals on this property now than then. And my main issue I'm going to be getting on, but I just want to tell you, it focuses on what was the governor's mansion over here. And you go back to the history of it, the home, it was a sovereign territory here, essentially. And the governor's mansion, that's where I guess you would call the executive director of today. There was the board of managers, which included the president of the United States, the chief justice of the Supreme Court, and the secretary of war, or the secretary of defense. Now, the VA took over, and I'm not going to elaborate on it all, but we need to get back to where we were. The 22 acres over here have to be the most valuable property in the USA on Wilshire Boulevard. Go take a look over there right now. They are at that. It is a disgrace what's going on. Where veterans from the Civil War walked. They've got construction going on, and I did send a memo to Dr. Colonel Braverman about that. That is not a survey going on. It's construction, and I've talked to some of the workers. It's for the Purple Line. They're going to build an 800-car garage for the subway. Well, let's be very clear about that. Who that's for? That's for the people in Brentwood, the fat cats, who will park their Mercedes and Rolls and Bentleys and everything else on our property, get on a subway, go downtown, and come back and avoid the traffic that everybody else has to. That has to stop. It needs to be a cease and desist. They're not even paying a penny for this. It's an easement. I mean, when Donald Trump finally finds out about this, he will, I can assure you, there's a movement going on. And Donald Trump paid, back in 2006, bid $55 million an acre on Santa Monica Boulevard for 2 acres over there, and he got outbid by $200,000. $110 million for 2 acres. and we're giving this away with an easement on the most sacred land here. And, you know, I, like, 5 minutes just isn't enough for what I've been through, and I'm not singling out that I deserve anything better. But I want to share what, and I just want to pass it around here. This is the, an aerial view over here of the property. And right here, right there is the governor's mansion. And I urge you, go over and take a look. Trees cut down, absolute disgrace. To top it all off, no money, they just take it over. But just take a look at aerial view of this land on Wilshire Boulevard. It's gotta be the most valuable property in the USA. And not just monetarily, this is so valuable to the history of this country and to our veterans who have fought. What we're proposing is to take over this, take it back, and to build a, convert it into a White House, Commander-in-Chief's mansion surrounded by a Veterans Peace and Freedom Garden. We need some responsibility. This stuff that I didn't come in today, I've been through all this. It's going nowhere. We need new leadership. We need to really look at this and get going forward, and to get the president to come out here and to see firsthand this property and to do something honorably with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosebrough. Next up is Mr. Nieves, and on deck is Mr. Robert Reynolds. Okay, it looks like he's not here. Mr. Robert Reynolds. And then on deck is Gail Oaktree.
My name is Robert Reynolds. As an infantryman in the Army in Iraq, 2007. This is a picture right here at San Vicente Street, right outside the VA, where there are 20 veterans out there right now, 8 of which are combat veterans. Right? Jared Chrisman in June, who I know was out there, died. He died right on the sidewalk outside the VA. There's been no VA outreach, absolutely none. The only times that they've come out is when we've contacted the White House. They don't come out and do anything. We have veterans out there that are in states of crisis. What we know about PTSD and stuck points is that most veterans with PTSD, the main stuck point is not to trust the government. Don't trust the government. And these veterans out there, that stuck point is reinforced because when they try to get help, they're constantly turned away. They're told they're going to be housed, and then no one comes back out and says anything to them. And it just reinforces the stuck points. So that's why these guys get stuck out there, and they don't know what to do. They're in a position, just like I believe Gene was saying, where they don't know who to ask for help because the people that they have asked haven't done anything. And the VA's failed them multiple times. It's an outrage. It's an outrage to see that combat veterans who survive war come home. Here, I'll pass this around. Combat veterans who come home risk dying on the streets of LA. And the LA Times said that on any given night there's 3,800 veterans homeless in Los Angeles. And it's an absolute outrage that there's all this land and these veterans are being forced off and they become plagued by Mayor Garcetti's homeless crisis in this city. Mayor Garcetti has been failing. This homeless crisis got worse under his leadership. And then these veterans are thrown off of VA property and they become plagued by Mayor Garcetti's homeless crisis. There needs to be more outreach. This is the largest VA in the country, the most homeless veterans in the country. We should be leading the charge in outreach. We should be teaching other VAs how to do outreach and how to help fix the homeless veteran crisis. There is no excuse why outreach should not be outside that gate every single day doing a walk around the campus just to check on, see what guys we have out there. There's a female veteran that went into labor on the sidewalk. She was out there for the length of her pregnancy with no prenatal vitamins, no care, no one came out to check on her. She went into labor out on the sidewalk on November 25th. The The baby was taken from her, and she's back out on the sidewalk because she has no housing. I've called the White House about that multiple times. The Veterans Advocate Office, also the Welcome Center. Yeah, so this is a continuing issue. There needs to be people going out there. Basic things like Jared Chrisman died of fentanyl. He died of a fentanyl overdose. And we know that veterans are using medications to self-medicate out there. No one's checking on them. Why can't we go out and give some Narcan or maybe some classes to these veterans that we know we can't house right away, at least give them the knowledge of what to look for, since we know that they are self-medicated, and try to prevent future deaths. Because it's really a shame that someone can survive war and come home and then die on the street. It's just awful. And in light of the guys deploying right now, fighting the war on terrorism all over the world, we need to change this before they come home and they end up dying on the streets of Los Angeles or not being able to get help. I know for myself, after I got back from Iraq, I went and I worked with CAL FIRE as a paramedic for 5 years. And then 2 years ago, I started having PTSD symptoms that flared up. I ended up taking a leave of absence from work. And in 2018, October, I came to the LA VA campus as I was told to do so by the Vets Center in San Luis Obispo. Upon arriving here, I had my service animal with me that I got from the VA in Northern California, and I was denied entry because they wouldn't accept service animals. And they've been doing this to multiple veterans. My dog's the first service animal to be in the domiciliary, and that took me almost a year to get in, going through Ted Lieu's office and everything. So this just shows that there is a pattern of misconduct and not following laws, and that something needs to be looked into, and there needs to be outreach. All those veterans right there, that stuff in that picture, they got all their stuff thrown away on 12/18, a couple days before Christmas. We had all that stuff donated from Walmart to keep them dry from the rain during Thanksgiving, and then right before Christmas, all their stuff gets thrown away by a bulldozer. No one from the VA comes out to help or anything. I will say thank you. The cleanup today was stopped. There was supposed to be a cleanup this morning. So whoever was involved in that, thank you very much, and hope we can fix everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. Next up, Gail Ogletree, and on deck, Laura Ceballos.
This is gonna be a happy story, so get used to it. Might as well change your attitude right now. Now, comedy isn't for you, I'm sorry, but we're gonna get a smile on our faces before y'all have to drive down 405 or wherever it is you drove. Okay? Okay, here we go. I wanna talk about trust today, and the reason is, it came up over here, and I took a couple notes, and I said, my God, I got this great story to tell there. Now, between the time that I was here last and talked to you about the chapel project, I fell and had a concussion. Now, I've been in OT, I've had a CT scan, I've been in TBI, I've been in audiology, I've been to ENT, I've been to every letter that you can imagine, getting tested, retested, and now I'm fine. But I got a physical therapist, and his name is Dan, and he's Vietnamese, and he's in Vietnam right now, so I can talk smack about him while he's gone, right? Okay, here we go. I walk in and I see Dan, and Dan says to me, I think you have fear. I said, I don't have any fear. I'm an airborne paratrooper. I'm an active duty grandmother. Heck, I don't have any fear. He goes, I think you'll have PTSD, and the veterans, wet ones, he said actually with a W, is the wet ones, they have fear. Sometimes they have fear to overcome. And I said, no. So I got annoyed with him because he was PT, didn't give me any exercises, and I reported him immediately to Dr. Fatima Bodeman in the women's clinic for practicing outside of his scope of expertise. Well, I went back the next week, and he says to me, he says, let's stand up and do your exercises. Walk on the line, heel to toe, heel to toe. Oh, look at that, I can do it, almost. And so I did, and I walked, and he says, you talking too much. I said, I talking too much? I didn't even understand what he meant. You talking too much? You talking too much. So I said to myself, I don't understand what he's getting at. I need to listen more carefully. I need to trust him. He's an authority over my PT. He says, you're talking too much. He says, when you do exercises, you need only focus, no talk. I said, oh, I'm starting to get what it is he's telling me. Next week I come back, and he says to me, will you trust me? And I said, well, I suppose I do. I put you in charge of my medical care, and we're doing this together, so yes, I think I trust you. He goes, stand up. He says, close your eyes and walk backwards. So I close my eyes, don't count any steps, and I walk backwards, walk backwards, walk. He goes, stop. I said, okay. He said, turn around, walk backwards. So I walk backwards, so I walk backwards, walk backwards. Stop. And I realized, I looked at him right in the eyes, and I said, Dan, you're not asking me if I trust you. You're asking me if I trust me. And I learned something that day that I will never forget. And quite frankly, my PTSD, I'm 100% for PTSD, has changed dramatically because of someone I disagreed with. But I trusted his judgment for a moment and gave it serious consideration. And quite frankly, my life has changed as a result. I want to thank the VA for that. They screw up a lot of crap, but they didn't screw up him. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ogletree.
You bet.
Next, Ms. Savalas.
Hello. Hello, my name is Laura Ceballos. I have a master's degree in public administration. I am a community organizer that advocates for the homeless on the west side. I sit on the homelessness committee with the city of Santa Monica, and I have a strong connection to the Latino community. Our veterans have fought to protect and maintain our country free. The Veterans Master Plan must be prioritized to benefit our veterans. Our veterans must be priority. I am in full support of the Veteran Master Plan, and you need to make it part of the draft plan. It is imperative to move the plan forward because in my advocacy of my community, I run into homeless veterans every day. Too often the solution is worse than the cure, as in the 3-year-old draft master plan that has done nothing but allow individuals and entities who are not veterans stay on the land that was specifically donated for veterans. We need to get our veterans off the streets. We need transparency and accountability. As an active community advocate, I will share my experience today with the community to monitor to see if the Veterans Master Plan will be included in the draft plan and be executed. I would like to end by letting you know that I am honored to be working with a great veteran, Frank Juarez Sr., who has served our country and continues to fight for our veterans. To end, we do not want the 2028 Olympics here. We need to take care of our veterans first. So no 2028 Olympics here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did anybody else sign up that I did not call?
Yeah, I'm gonna speak, I'm sorry.
You
Is that okay?
didn't sign up.
Oh, I'm gonna do that right now. Sorry about that, I'll do that right now.
You'll go. Yeah, it's all right. We'll give it 5 minutes. Yes, Laura's speech. Okay, thank you.
General Hopper, may I speak now?
Yes, Mr. Thompson, please take the mic.
Oh. Any mindfulness?
Yeah, Alfred, I just want to answer a couple of your questions. If I can find my documents. Oh, shoot. I'm gonna was without my notes. Sorry about this. Anyway, Alfred, I want to answer a couple questions that you have about the housing, because I know a little bit about it. Thomas Saffron Associates is the principal developer. Our understanding, or what we've been told, is that it's actually a partnership between US Vets, Century Housing, and Thomas Saffron Associates. Legitimately, that's actually not true. If you look at Building 207, documents filed with the Secretary of State as to what that partnership is about, you have three companies. You have Thomas Saffron in one company, you have Thomas Saffron in another company, and then you have his partner who's out of state in Utah in another company. That partner and him actually have quite a few projects going on here with the HHH funds going on. The project it's not for veterans anymore. It started out as a project that, I mean, you know, he's declared to the public that this is housing for veterans many times to the press. But what he's declared on his applications and his filings with the city first, when he went for the first rounds of financing, was that it would be for veterans who are only 62 years old and over. Now, when he went back for the $24,800,000 that he also got from the city, from HHH, he had changed his mind. He decided that it was multi-family residential renters that housing is going to be for. The idea here, the way that this works, is you get this bond money, right? And you try to do this housing for a little while. It's better if you have seniors because they don't live too long. And then you slowly transform it into something else. So that's what's going on with that. All of the money so far for that Building 207 deal has come from the taxpayer. Right now, he's got about $40-something million, I think. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong. It's $40 to $50 million, but he's saying that it's 70% financed. So therefore, if you do the math, you're looking at about $927,000 per unit for those bachelors in the rehab of Building 207. So I just want to clarify that the partnership between US Vets Century Housing, that's what you call a rent-a-vet. Look that up sometime. Thank you.
Okay, that's the end of the public comment period. Thanks very much to all of our presenters during that period. We'll take another 5-minute break and then we'll do a wrap-up.
Just a reminder, if you want some books.